Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour. Trump alters tariff plans, exempts phones, computers, semiconductors and other electronics from reciprocal global tariffs. US-Iran hold positive and constructive talks in Oman to resolve differences through dialogue and diplomacy. White House says Iran talks a step forward, both sides to resume talks next Saturday. UK takes control of British steel under emergency powers after lawmakers pass law to save last British factory making steel. Israel expands Gaza offensive, seizes key security corridor, issues new evacuation orders. The Trump administration has granted exclusions from steep reciprocal tariffs on smartphones, computers and other electronics imported from China, providing relief to tech companies like Apple. The exclusions, retroactive to the 5th of April, cover 20 product categories including computers, laptops, semiconductor devices and memory chips. The move eases import costs for Apple iPhones produced in India. Semiconductors are also excluded from the baseline 10% tariffs on most US trading partners and the added 125% levy on China. US President Trump says he will have more information on semiconductors on Monday.
I'll give you that answer on Monday. We'll be very specific on Monday. So we're taking in a lot of money. As a country, we're taking in a lot of money.
The exclusions only apply to Trump's reciprocal tariffs, which climbed to 125%, although prior 20% duties on Chinese imports related to the US fentanyl crisis remain in place. Trump plans to launch a new national security trade investigation into semiconductors, potentially leading to new tariffs. Smartphones and laptops were top US imports from China in 2024, totaling $41.7 billion and $33.1 billion, respectively. And DD India's Shubhendu Ghosh joins us live on this. Hi Shubhendu, very good morning to you. Shubhendu, why are these exemptions made and how do you analyze the reason behind it? Is it strategically done by the US to boom production?
Hello Siddharth, good morning. Call it what you may, whether it is growing awareness of the consumer pain in the United States with this tariff game, tariff war that has been unleashed by the Trump administration, or the growing pressure by the market. We have to first look at some figures just to understand the significance of these exemptions as far as the electronic import, mobile phones, laptops, and 20 such entities, chips, for example, that have been exempted from that dramatic overall 145% tariff. The base 20% tariff on China in particular remains. Now, mobile phones from China, which are assembled, manufactured in China, constitute the most important import by America from China. The name that everyone knows, Apple, iPhones, for example, that are renowned American brands. But remember, 80% of the Apple iPhones and other products are made in China. And when they're now brought back to America, they have to be imported back to America once they're assembled in China. And these dramatic tariffs would have applied on them, making America's own products, own brands, hundreds of dollars more expensive than they already are. And that would have dramatically impacted and increased the pressure on American consumers in particular. So we see that consideration coming into play. The next biggest import, electronics import from China to America, laptops. In 2024, if you look at the figures, $41 billion worth of mobile phones were imported from China to America. $35 billion worth of laptops, which are made in China, even if they're American brands, made and assembled in China, are imported back to America. Now, these dramatic tariffs that Trump administration is putting on China would have pinched the American consumers the most. So in that sense, call it a strategy or the absence of it.
Yeah.
This quick reversals, this quick turnaround is something that the Trump administration will have to consider, because it also had spooked the market, remember. For now, it's a big relief for tech companies. There's also an important positive note for India. Remember, Apple has been trying to diversify also its production capabilities away from China, although the bulk of it, as I mentioned, about 80% still happens in China. Some 20% has shifted to mostly India and Vietnam. So in that sense, America also tried to, Apple just a couple of days back, tried to airlift some 1 million pieces of iPhones manufactured in America, so that the pinch of the increased tariff is not felt by the American consumers. So we see this dramatic announcement of tariffs and taking them back, but consumer sentiments, consumer expectations, their pressures are now becoming visible on Trump administration with this step.
Shubhendu, you just mentioned that this is a big win for the tech companies, especially, companies like Apple. Could you just elaborate a bit on that?
That's right. The point that I was making, you see these big tech companies, when you pick up an Apple iPhone, it says it's a lot of times it's designed in California, United States, but it's either made in India or made in China. Some 80% of the Apple products are still manufactured in China. Earlier, the number was even higher, but Apple has been, over a period of years, trying to diversify. India is coming up as an important manufacturer. So because the manufacturing of important tech products, whether it is NVIDIA, whether it is Apple, because of the manufacturing taking place outside of America, because the presence of large number of skilled workers at one place, even cost effective in many ways. Therefore, these big tech manufacturers like to get their products assembled and manufactured outside of America. Doing the same in America would make the products very expensive. So over the years, this was a great arrangement. But now, because there are these almost punitive taxes that are coming into play, particularly against China, the big tech companies, their own products for their own people are becoming increasingly unaffordable if those tariffs really are going to be applied. So in that sense, this relaxation of that 125% excess tariff, 20% still stays, is still going to affect the products, but 125% additional tariff would have just made possibly very, very difficult for American consumers, and therefore the American big tech giants to continue their huge profit margins.
Right. Thank you so much, Shubhendu. We leave it there. Meanwhile, Al Hurra, which is the US-funded Arabic language TV network launched in 2004 after the Iraq invasion, will cease broadcast following the Trump administration's decision to cut its funding. The move is part of a broader cost-cutting initiative reportedly influenced by Elon Musk. Al Hurra's parent organization, the Middle East Broadcasting Networks, said most staff will be laid off, though limited digital operations will continue. MBN CEO Jeffrey Gedmin criticized the funding cut as a blow to credible alternative media in the Middle East. Al Hurra once reached over 30 million viewers across 22 countries, but faced tough competition from regional networks. Similar US-backed outlets like Voice of America and Radio Free Asia are also struggling, with some seeking foreign support or shifting to reduced online operations. Iran and the US held positive and constructive talks in Oman on Saturday and agreed to reconvene next week. These dialogues are meant to address Tehran's escalating nuclear program, with President Donald Trump threatening military action if there is no deal. Trump made a surprise announcement on Monday that Washington and Tehran would begin talks in Oman, a Gulf state that has mediated between the West and the Islamic Republic before. Saturday's exchanges were indirect and mediated by Oman, as Iran had wanted, rather than face-to-face as Trump had demanded. Each delegation had its separate room and exchanged messages via Oman's foreign minister. On Saturday, Trump said that talks with Iran over its nuclear program were going okay.
So I don't like talking about it, but it's going okay. The Iran situation is going pretty good.
Are there other talks that are going well,
I
sir?
think.
Indirect talks mediated by Oman aim to address Tehran's escalating nuclear program, said his delegation had a brief encounter with its US counterpart headed by Witkoff after they exited the talks. He also said that talks took place in a productive, calm and positive atmosphere.
I believe it was nothing special. As we were leaving, two delegations happened to encounter each other and we spoke for a few minutes. It's an accepted matter. In our interactions with American diplomats, we have always observed diplomatic courtesy. This time too, it was to the same extent, just a small conversation, an exchange of greetings, so to speak, and then we left the venue. It wasn't anything extraordinary.
Oman has long been an intermediary between Western powers and Iran, having brokered the release of several foreign citizens and dual nationals held by the Islamic Republic. The current focus of the talks will be de-escalating regional tensions, prisoner exchanges and limited agreements to ease sanctions against Iran in exchange for controlling Iran's nuclear program. Meanwhile, Russia's ambassador to international bodies in Vienna, Mikhail Ulyanov, called the statements issued by both sides after the talks encouraging. Israel is expanding its military offensive in Gaza after seizing a new security corridor known as Morag Axis, which cuts across Gaza between the southern cities of Rafah and Khan Yunis. The Morag corridor joins other key zones under Israeli control, including the Philadelphia and Netzarim corridors. Together with expanded buffer zones, these give Israel control over 50% of Gaza's territory. Its defense minister, Israel Katz, said this move effectively links the Philadelphia route along the Egyptian border to Morag, creating a wider Israeli-controlled security zone. As part of the expanded offensive, Israel issued a sweeping evacuation order for tens of thousands of Palestinians living in and around Khan Yunis. The military said that move came after rocket fire from the area, prompting retaliatory strikes. Israel has maintained a blockade on aid into Gaza for over a month, arguing that sufficient supplies entered during the last ceasefire. Aid organizations have disputed this claim, warning of severe shortages of food, fuel and medicine. It has been reported that Egypt proposed a deal involving the release of 8 living hostages and 8 bodies in exchange for a 70-day truce and a major prisoner release. In Tel Aviv, hundreds of Israelis gathered to mark the Passover festival and called for the release of hostages. While Hamas released a video showing Israeli-American hostage Eden Alexander criticizing Israel's government for failing to secure his release, the soldier was abducted during October 7, 2023 attack on Israel. As Myanmar reels from the massive earthquake that hit the country in March, a magnitude 5.6 earthquake struck Myanmar on Sunday, with the European Mediterranean Seismological Center reporting the event. The quake's epicenter was located near the eastern region of Myanmar, a country prone to seismic activity due to its position along the tectonic plate boundaries of Southeast Asia. Details on the exact location and depth of the earthquake remain sparse, but strong tremors were reportedly felt in various parts of the country, including in the capital Naypyidaw and the commercial hub of Yangon. There have been no immediate reports of widespread damage or casualties, though local authorities are assessing the situation. Myanmar, which lies on the boundary of the Indian and Eurasian tectonic plates, experiences occasional seismic activity. Rescue teams and emergency responders are on standby in case of further developments. And news just coming in, an earthquake of magnitude 6.4 struck the Central Asian nation of Tajikistan at a depth of 16 kilometers on Sunday. It was announced by the European Mediterranean Seismological Center. More details are awaited. And still to come on DD Indian News. US President Donald Trump says Ukraine talks may be going okay, but time now for some action. A 400-year-old weeping cherry tree is blooming at Kogyoji Temple in Fukui Prefecture, Japan. The World Expo in Osaka, Japan has opened its doors.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. US President Donald Trump said on Saturday that talks aimed at ending the conflict in Ukraine may be going okay, but there's a point at which you just have to either put up or shut up. Trump made the comment to reporters a day after he showed frustration with Russia and told it to get moving on reaching a deal. Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, held talks with Russian President Vladimir Putin about the search for a peace deal. The talks came at a time when US-Russia dialogue aimed at agreeing a ceasefire ahead of a possible peace deal to end the war appeared to have stalled over disagreements around conditions for a full pause in hostilities.
There are other talks going on. I think Ukraine, Russia might be going, okay? And you're going to be finding out pretty soon, you know. There's a point at which you just have to either put up or shut up and we'll see what happens. But I think it's going fine.
Meanwhile, on Saturday, Ukraine's ecology minister said that the confinement over Chernobyl's fourth nuclear reactor partially lost functionality and needs to be resorted. Ukraine says a Russian drone struck the shelter of the destroyed power unit at the plant on February 14, causing a fire and leaving a hole in the new safe confinement. Though Moscow denied involvement, with Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman calling the drone attack on Chernobyl power plant a provocation. Chernobyl was the site of the world's worst civil nuclear catastrophe when one of its 4 reactors exploded in 1986. That reactor is now enveloped by a Soviet-era sarcophagus and a newer confinement to contain the lingering radiation. New York City's Mayor Eric Adams on Saturday mourned the loss of 6 victims of a deadly helicopter crash in the Hudson River. The tour helicopter plunged upside down into New York City's Hudson River on Thursday afternoon, killing all 6 people on board, including a Spanish family with 3 children and the pilot. The National Transportation Safety Board said the pilot had about 788 hours of total flight experience through late March. Video of the crash showed what appeared to be a large object plummeting into river, followed seconds later by what appeared to be a helicopter blade. One of the family members, Juan Camprubi Montal, said his family was preparing to take the bodies back home as soon as possible.
I want to stand that they left together, they left without suffering, and they left with a smile on their faces. And that's important for us. As a family, we want to remind and honor their happiness and their smile forever. And you can imagine we are trying to assimilate all this situation. We want to move the bodies as soon as possible home, back home with all the family, to rest in peace together in our place.
The UK government took effective control of Britain's last remaining factory that makes steel from scratch from its Chinese owners after lawmakers approved an emergency rescue. At a rare weekend session, Parliament approved the law without opposition to take over the running of the Scunthorpe site, which employs several thousand people and produces steel crucial for UK industries, including construction and rail transport.
The message has been received from the Lords as follows. The Lords agree to the steel industry special measures bill without amendment. I must report to the House that His Majesty the King has signified his royal assent to the following Act under the Royal Assent Act 1967. Steel Industry Special Measures Act 2025.
The struggling plant in northern England had faced imminent closure, and Prime Minister Keir Starmer said his government stepped in to save British steel with legislation to prevent its blast furnaces going out. British Steel is the biggest state rescue since a number of banks were taken into government hands in 2008. The two blast furnaces at Port Talbot closed last year, and the new electric furnace will not start producing steel until late 2027 or early 2028. Former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro may undergo a new surgery which would be his fifth since being stabbed while campaigning in 2018 after feeling strong abdominal pain during an event in northeastern Brazil on Friday. In a social media post, the former president said it was still unclear if he would be transferred to do the surgery in a hospital in Brasilia or Sao Paulo. His doctor confirmed that after tests, the medical team confirmed that Bolsonaro would need a new surgery, adding that it was up to his family which hospital he would go to. A medical report issued on Saturday morning stated that the president was stable and had slept through the night. Bolsonaro was hospitalized on Friday in the state of Rio Grande do Norte. He was then transferred by helicopter to a hospital in Natal. Meanwhile, Bolsonaro received a standing ovation on Saturday when he was checked out of a hospital where he stayed overnight. A group of supporters bid farewell with chants and applause when Bolsonaro left the hospital before getting into an ambulance to be transferred to Brasilia in a plane with ICU support. Bolsonaro faces trial for allegedly plotting to overthrow the government. Already banned from the office until 2030, he risks a long prison sentence if convicted. Ecuador is holding a presidential election with incumbent Daniel Noboa facing off against charismatic leftist challenger Luisa Gonzalez. Early voting in Ecuador commenced on Friday as ballot boxes were dispatched to the elderly and people with disabilities, paving the way for the presidential election slated for Sunday, April 13. The election is dominated by cartel violence that has made Ecuador one of the deadliest countries in Latin America. Polls show a statistical tie, with a Noboa win likely to see continued hardline security policies and a close relationship with the US, while a Gonzalez win would signal a shift to the left and potentially cooler relations with the US. Gonzalez is allied with ex-President Rafael Correa, who lives in exile in Belgium. The election is highly competitive with hundreds of thousands of votes up for grabs. About 13.7 million Ecuadorians are obliged to vote. Polls closed and vote counting got underway in Gabon on Saturday as the oil-rich Central African country held its presidential election, with coup leader Brice Oligui Nguema widely anticipated to solidify his hold on power. Counting started shortly after the closing of polling stations. The result was expected as soon as Sunday, with the winner receiving a 7-year term, renewable once. Nguema, who ousted President Ali Bongo 19 months ago, is presenting himself as a reformer tackling corruption after decades of Bongo family rule in Gabon. Thousands of people from towns across Serbia, Kosovo and Bosnia travelled by bus to Belgrade on Saturday to take part in a rally showing support for President Aleksandar Vučić. The event comes amid ongoing anti-corruption protests that have challenged his hold on power for several months. The rally is seen as Vučić's response to an anti-government demonstration on March 15, when more than 100,000 people attended the country's biggest protest in decades in Belgrade. Serbia has seen months of anti-government rallies after 16 deaths from a railway station roof collapse triggered accusations of widespread corruption and negligence. The rally also aimed to promote a new movement led by Vučić's Serbian Progressive Party, expected to unite members of the ruling coalition, though it has not been officially launched yet. At least 8 people were killed after a bus travelling along the Maiduguri-Damboa road in Nigeria's northeast Borno state detonated a landmine on Saturday. 7 other travellers were taken to the intensive care unit of a hospital in the capital, Maiduguri, while 14 people sustained minor injuries in the incident. The governor, Baba Gana Zulum, visited the injured at hospital. The governor urged the security agencies to intensify efforts in combating insurgency and securing major roads across the state. Landmines are common in the northeast region, where the Islamist group Boko Haram frequently launches attacks on security facilities and civilian communities. The official toll in a nightclub roof collapse in the Dominican Republic rose to 226 on Saturday. 221 people died inside the club in the early hours on Tuesday when its roof caved in during a performance by popular singer while 5 others have died in hospital. Dominican Republic's Health Minister Victor Atala, talking to media, cautioned that the final toll could still rise, with other badly burned victims in hospital struggling for their lives. Meanwhile, the mortal remains of all the deceased have been returned to their loved ones. The roof collapse, the Caribbean nation's worst tragedy in decades, has cast a deep pall over the nation. The toll surpassed that of 136 inmates who died in 2005 prison fire in eastern city of Higüey. Local residents called for urgent help to extinguish a fire that ripped through hundreds of hectares in Mexico's southern state of Oaxaca on Saturday. The state government said the authorities dispatched firefighting brigades and some 80 local volunteers have joined the efforts to extinguish the flames, which have consumed some 500 hectares. Local residents blocked the road to demand urgent aid to extinguish the fire on Saturday. The State Civil Protection Agency said residents of Santa Catarina were evacuated due to the thick smoke from the fire. The Oaxacan government said the fire has posed a threat to several communities, but is now reported to be 75% under control. Communities were on alert from April 11 after a blaze started in Santo Domingo, Tomaltepec, Oaxaca, and strong winds drove the flames into neighboring towns. Pope Francis made an unexpected visit to the Basilica of St. Mary Major on Saturday. Francis is recovering at the Vatican after spending 38 days in the hospital for double pneumonia in the most serious health crisis of his 12-year papacy. The 88-year-old pontiff was seen in a wheelchair wearing the traditional white papal dress and carrying a bouquet of white roses. The Pope, who is known to be a devotee of the Salus Populi Romani in the Basilica, had a small nasal tube to receive extra oxygen. Francis had surprised the faithful for the first time on Thursday as well when he visited St. Peter's Basilica. 3 British brothers set off from Peru's Lima to Sydney on a non-stop rowing journey across the Pacific Ocean, aiming to break a time record and raise funds for their NGO. Evan, Jamie and McLean from Edinburgh begin their adventure on Saturday when they leave from Lima in Peru. The trio are expected to spend more than 120 days at sea, covering the equivalent of 343 marathons on a journey requiring around 4 million oar strokes. The McLean brothers will attempt to row non-stop and unsupported to Sydney in Australia in their custom-built carbon fibre ocean rowing boat, and in the process aim to raise £1 million to support their own clean water charity. Rowing in 2-hour shifts around the clock, they will likely face extreme weather, sleep deprivation and complete isolation on the world's largest ocean. They have already conquered the Atlantic, setting the world records in the process. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. The World Expo in Osaka, Japan has opened its doors, featuring exhibits from 160 countries and regions. The expo showcases cutting-edge technology, diverse cultures and unique food, with highlights including a Mars meteorite, an artificial heart grown from stem cells, and algae-formed Hello Kitty figures. The expo will run until mid-October, offering a prolonged celebration of global innovation and creativity. A 400-year-old weeping cherry tree is blooming at Kogyoji Temple in Fukui Prefecture, Japan. Despite suffering damage from fires and rot, the tree was saved through treatment in 1982 and now thrives, producing beautiful flowers. This year's bloom came about a week later than usual. And still to come on DD Indian News Hour. A specialist team from Indian Army engineers arrived in Myanmar last Sunday under Operation Brahma. Stay tuned to know more. A cycling rally was held in New Delhi that was dedicated to the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Great Patriotic War, along with the 70th anniversary of the Russian-Indian diplomatic relations. We will tell you about the Jallianwala Bagh massacre that shocked the nation. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bhardwaj and a quick recap of headlines. Trump alters tariff plans, exempts phones, computers, semiconductors and other electronics from reciprocal global tariff. US-Iran hold positive and constructive talks in Oman to resolve differences through dialogue and diplomacy. White House says Iran talks a step forward, both sides to resume talks next Saturday. UK takes control of British Steel under emergency pause after lawmakers pass law to save last British factory making steel. Israel expands Gaza offensive, seizes a key security corridor, issues new evacuation orders. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Haryana tomorrow on the occasion of Ambedkar Jayanti. During his visit, PM Modi will flag off a commercial flight from Hisar to Ayodhya and lay the foundation stone of the new terminal building of Hisar Airport. The Prime Minister will also inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of development projects in Yamunanagar and address the gathering on the occasion. Boosting power infrastructure in the region along with the vision of electricity reaching the last mile, PM Modi will lay the foundation stone of the 800 megawatt modern thermal power unit of Deenbandhu Chotu Ram thermal power plant at Yamunanagar. Taking forward the vision of the Gobardhan scheme, the Prime Minister will lay the foundation stone of a compressed biogas plant in Mukarapur in Yamunanagar. PM Modi will also inaugurate the 14.4 kilometers Rewari bypass project under the Bharatmala Pariyojana. Home Minister Amit Shah is visiting Bhopal today to witness the signing of an agreement between the state dairy unions and the National Dairy Development Board (NDDB). Amit Shah will also review the functioning of the State Cooperative Department. The decision for the collaborative agreement was announced recently by Chief Minister Mohan Yadav, saying that this step would be pivotal for enhancing milk producers' income and boosting milk production in the region. The proposal for this agreement, already approved by the State Cabinet, will be effective for 5 years with a scope for extension, includes establishing collection centres in every Gram Panchayat and expanding the processing capacity of milk unions. The plan involves a substantial investment of Rs 2,500 crore as part of the White Revolution mission aimed at achieving fair pricing and efficient milk procurement for dairy farmers. Bastar in the central Indian state of Chhattisgarh has long been considered a stronghold of Naxals, but now the situation is changing. Under Mission 2026, security forces are penetrating deep into the remote areas of Bastar and launching intensive operations against Naxalites. These efforts have led to significant successes for the forces, with a large number of Naxalites also surrendering. In an exclusive conversation with DD News, Bastar IG Sundaraj P said that due to the sustained pressure and strategic operations by the forces, a large number of Maoist cadres have surrendered.
विगत महीनों में सुरक्षा बल को बस्तर संभाग के अंतर्गत प्रभावी अभियान संचालित करने के परिणाम स्वरूप काफ़ी अच्छा सकारात्मक परिणाम हमको देखने के लिए मिल रहा है। यदि आंकड़ा के हिसाब से देखा जाए तो विगत 15 महीने में बस्तर संभाग के अंतर्गत 350 से अधिक माओवादी कैडर का डेड बॉडी अलग अलग मुठभेड़ के पश्चात रिकवर की गए थे और आत्मसमर्पण के हिसाब से देखा जाए तो जो सुरक्षा बल द्वारा बनाए गए जो प्रभाव के कारण से काफ़ी बड़ी संख्या में माओवादी कैडर आत्मसमर्पण कर रहे हैं। जो आंकड़ा के हिसाब से देखा जाए इस 15 महीने के अवधि में लगभग 1200 से अधिक माओवादी कैडर हिंसा त्याग कर शासन के समक्ष आत्मसमर्पण किया। इसके शासन का जो पुनर्वास पॉलिसी है उसके तहत उनके सभी प्रकार का जो रिहैबिलिटेशन के लिए एक सामान्य जीवन जीने के लिए उनका आर्थिक सहायता से लेकर अन्य सभी प्रकार का सुविधा उपलब्ध की जा रही थी।
President Draupadi Murmu extended greetings to the citizens on eve of Vaisakhi, Bishu, Bohag Bihu, Poila Boishakh, Meshadi, Vaishakhadi and Putandu Pirapu. In her message, the President wished that these vibrant festivals inspire people to work with commitment and dedication towards the development of the nation. She highlighted that these festivals, celebrated during the harvest season in various parts of India, symbolize the country's rich social traditions and unity in diversity. The President said that though through these festivals, the nation honors the hard work of country's Annadata farmers and expresses its gratitude to them. She added that these festivals also convey the message of preserving nature and protecting the country's cultural legacy. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has greeted everyone on the occasion of Baisakhi today. The Prime Minister wished that festival bring new hope and happiness in everyone's life, and we always celebrate the spirit of togetherness, gratitude and renewal. Baisakhi marks the first day of the month of Vaisak, and it's seen as a celebration of spring harvest primarily in Punjab and northern India. The Chittagong Hill Tracts in Bangladesh are celebrating the 3-day Baisabi festival, a significant cultural event for the for the region's indigenous communities. The name Baisabi is a blend of 3 different festivals celebrated by the 3 largest indigenous communities in the Chittagong Hill Tracts. Baisuk, observed by the Tripura people, Sangria by the Marma, and Biju by the Chakma people. The festivities began with flower offerings to Ganga Devi on Kaptai Lake. The festival showcases the unique traditions of each community while promoting unity. In response to a formal request from the government of Myanmar, a specialist team from the Indian Army engineers arrived in Myanmar last Sunday under Operation Brahma, reaffirming India's commitment to regional humanitarian assistance. The operation focuses on assessing and repairing earthquake-damaged infrastructure in the Mandalay and Naypyidaw regions. Led by a commanding officer, the engineering recce team, consisting of 1 officer and 5 personnel, began its mission with a reconnaissance of 3 major bridges in the Mandalay division on April 8. On April 10, the team inspected 4 bridges and approximately 350 damaged buildings in Naypyidaw, working closely with Myanmar government representatives and local police escorts. The team prioritized the structural integrity of both civilian and heritage buildings. Notably, a demolition specialist team evaluated the Old Awa Bridge in Mandalay. Preliminary recommendations include controlled demolitions and clearing damaged bridge components to restore river traffic. Indian Navy ship Sunaina, designated as the Indian Ocean ship Sagar, arrived at the port of Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, marking a significant milestone in India's ongoing maritime cooperation efforts. The ship, which departed from Karwar, Goa on April 5, carries 44 naval personnel from 9 friendly foreign nations across the Indian Ocean region. INS Sunaina will participate in the harbour phase of exercise IKME, focusing on enhancing operational coordination, refining joint strategies and improving interoperability in maritime operation. The exercise will also see the participation of 2 other Indian Navy ships, INS Chennai, that is a destroyer, and INS Kesari, which is a landing ship tank. Following the exercise, INS Sunaina will depart for Nakala, Mozambique, continuing its IOS Saga mission to promote maritime security and cooperation in the region. The Government of India has invited nominations for the Padma Awards 2026, which will be announced on the occasion of Republic Day next year. The nomination process began on 15th of last month. Nominations will be opened till July 31st. The nominations and recommendations for Padma Awards will only be received online on the Rashtriya Puraskar portal. India's largest building material and construction expo, Vibrant BuildCon 2025, was inaugurated by the Minister of Commerce and Industry Piyush Goyal at the Yashobhoomi Convention Centre in New Delhi today. In fact, in Yashobhoomi, and the event is a landmark gathering of the global construction and infrastructure industry, featuring over 250 exhibitors, 50,000 plus domestic visitors and 700 plus international buyers across a vast 27,000 square meter exhibition area. Addressing the event, Piyush Goyal said, India of today, youth power, aspire to become a global superpower. Through this event, we are trying to bring the entire construction ecosystem under one umbrella. Bharat today is ready to make sure that every family has their own homes. India is expanding the manufacturing ecosystem and is at the forefront of digital revolution. To become Viksit Bharat, Indians have to adopt the best practices. Its construction industry has to be sustainable, energy efficient. We will have to make sure earthquake-proof construction. Our infrastructure will be the best in the world. He also said that India is poised to become global superpower. A cycling rally was held in New Delhi that was dedicated to the 80th anniversary of the victory in the Great Patriotic War, along with the 70th anniversary of the Russian-Indian diplomatic relations. The festive event is organized by the Russian Embassy in India jointly with the Confederation of Indian Cyclists. In keeping with the established tradition, this ride of friendship will follow the picturesque route from the embassy to the India Gate. The World Audiovisual Entertainment Summit, Waves Anime and Manga Contest, organized by the Media and Entertainment Association of India in collaboration with the Telangana VFX Animation and Gaming Association, received a huge response. The event was part of a larger initiative spanning 11 cities. The contest is a part of the lead up to the upcoming Waves Summit in Mumbai next month. As the first of its kind in India, it aims to promote and nurture young, homegrown talent in emerging fields like anime, manga, webtoons and cosplay, and supports government's initiative of Create in India vision. The competition has already been held in several cities. Winners in the competition will be sent for Waves.
This is an initiative which Waves has taken. The Society for the channels of all the media channels and the INB Ministry of Government of India together doing this kind of an activity is really laudable, and I wish this throws up talent which can consolidate our position in the animation industry. Hyderabad itself has been one of the pioneers.
Through this WAM conference being organized over here today, our endeavor is that we should be highlighting the careers available in animation, gaming, visual effects, in anime, in all the various fields of the AVGC sector or the image sector as we call it here in Telangana, so that more and more youth can come up and take jobs in this industry.
It's part of the Waves organization, which is going to be held in Mumbai in May 1st. And we are very proud that event has been conducted successfully in Hyderabad, and we are very happy with the kind of output.
The Jallianwala Bagh massacre in India's Amritsar is not simply a tragic tale of the past, but the horror of the British colonial enterprise. This monstrous carnage of April 13 is eternally engraved in the collective consciousness of Indians.
April 13 is remembered as the Black Day in Indian history. It was on this day in 1919 that innocent, unarmed men and women were massacred at the Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar. But did you know what led to the horrific act of cruelty and how did the events unfold? Let's find out in this video. Let's first understand what led to the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. The Rowlatt Act was passed on March 10, 1919. The Black Act authorized the government to imprison or confine without a trial any person associated with seditious activities. This led to nationwide unrest. Mahatma Gandhi initiated Satyagraha to protest against the Rowlatt Act. In fact, earlier on April 7, 1919, Gandhiji published an article called Satyagrahi describing ways to oppose the Rowlatt Act. The British authorities then get into a huddle to discuss about the actions need to be taken against Mahatma Gandhi and any other leaders participating in the Satyagraha. Subsequently, orders were issued to prohibit Gandhiji from entering Punjab and to arrest him if he disobeyed the orders. On the other hand, two prominent leaders who were a symbol of Hindu-Muslim unity, Dr. Saifuddin Kishliu and Dr. Satyapal, organized a peaceful protest against the Rowlatt Act in Amritsar. What happens next? Things start heating up gradually. Michael O'Dwyer, the Lieutenant Governor of Punjab at that time, issued orders to the Deputy Commissioner, Mr. Irving, to arrest Dr. Satyapal and Dr. Kishliu on April 9, 1919, when Ram Navami was being celebrated. On the same day, Mahatma Gandhi was arrested too, and people were unable to understand the reason behind the arrest. By the 10th of April 1919, the news of Gandhiji's arrest had reached Amritsar and the crowd was really angry and had gathered on the streets. Now comes one of the most painful incidents in Indian history. On April 13, 1919, the public had gathered to celebrate Baisakhi at the Jallianwala Bagh. However, the British point of view was that it was a political gathering. People had gathered at Jallianwala Bagh despite Brigadier General Reginald Dyer's orders prohibiting unlawful assembly. Two resolutions were to be discussed at the Bagh, one condemning the firing on April 10 and the other requesting the authorities to release their leaders. As General Dyer got to know about people assembling at the Bagh, he reached there with his troops. What followed was a bloodbath and one of the most inhumane acts in the history of mankind. General Dyer blocked the only exit and ordered his troops to open fire without giving any warning. A total of 1,650 bullets were fired during the firing, which continued for about 10 minutes. Only after British troops ran out of ammunition did the firing stop. While many were killed due to the fire shots, so many others lost their lives by jumping in the well inside the Jallianwala Bagh. The total estimated figure of the dead as given by General Dyer and Mr. Irving was 291. However, other reports, including that of a committee headed by Madan Mohan Malviya, put the figure of dead at over 500. Some estimates also mention numbers going up to 1,000 as well. 106 years on, and nobody knows exactly how many people died in the Jallianwala Bagh massacre. But the spirit of those martyred brave hearts still continues to shine on.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid homage to the martyrs of Jallianwala Bagh, saying that the coming generations will always remember their indomitable spirit. The Prime Minister posted on X, and I quote, "We pay homage to the martyrs of Jallianwala Bagh. The coming generations will always remember their indomitable spirit. It was indeed a dark chapter in our nation's history. Their sacrifice became a major turning point in India's freedom struggle." And still to come on DD Indian News Hour. This week's edition of Fit India Sundays on Cycle witnessed a vibrant turnout with people from all walks of life coming together to promote a fitter, healthier and more sustainable India. And the 38th Berck International Kite Festival gets underway in northern France.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
You're watching DD Indian News Hour. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. Time now for sport. And in one of the most thrilling double headers of the Indian Premier League season, Sunrisers Hyderabad and Lucknow Super Giants pulled off memorable chases on Saturday, with the SRH achieving the second highest successful chase in league history and LSG hunting down a tricky target with clinical efficiency. Lucknow Super Giants secured a comfortable 6-wicket win over Gujarat Titans. Batting first, Captain Shubman Gill and Sai Sudarshan struck half-centuries to help Gujarat Titans post a target of 181. LSG chased down the target with 3 balls to spare, with Aiden Markram and Nicholas Pooran hitting quick-fire half-centuries. With this win, LSG have moved up to 3rd spot in the points table, while GT have dropped down to 2. Javelin thrower DP Manu has been banned for 4 years by the National Anti-Doping Agency after testing positive for prohibited substance. Manu won a silver medal at the 2023 Asian Championships. He was tested during the Indian Grand Prix 1 in April 2024, where he won the competition with a throw of 81.91 meters. NADA found traces of the anabolic androgenic steroid in his sample and suspended him provisionally before the National Interstate Athletics Championships. Manu's 4-year ban will commence retrospectively from June 24, 2024, after NADA recently announced its verdict. Gujarat Titans all-rounder Glenn Phillips has been ruled out of the remainder of the Indian Premier League 2025 due to a groin injury. Phillips returned to New Zealand after sustaining injury while fielding in the match against Sunrisers Hyderabad on April 6. Phillips is considered to be one of the best fielders in the world. Despite of not being in the playing 11, GT used his services against SRH. He showed his fielding prowess during the Champions Trophy 2025 as well and was the best fielder during the ICC event. Asian Football Confederation President Sheikh Salman bin Ibrahim Al Khalifa has suggested holding votes for the 2031 and 2035 Asian Cups together as record 7 bidders express interest in hosting the 2031 finals. Sheikh Salman wants the Confederation to consider awarding the rights for the 2035 event for the same time. And All India Football Federation also submitted its bid to host the AFC Asian Cup 2031. If successful, India would host the AFC Asian Cup for the first time in history. Apart from India, the other bidders are Australia, Indonesia, South Korea, Kuwait and United Arab Emirates, and a joint bid from Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan and Uzbekistan. This week's edition of Fit India Sundays on Cycle witnessed a vibrant turnout with people from all walks of life coming together to promote a fitter, healthier and more sustainable India. The initiative, part of the ongoing Fit India movement, continues to encourage cycling as an accessible, eco-friendly way to improve physical fitness while contributing to environmental preservation. Participants ranging from fitness enthusiasts to families took to their bicycles and enjoy a day of outdoor exercise and community engagement. The event highlighted the importance of regular physical activity and the role of cycling in reducing carbon emissions. Inspiring stories were shared as individuals embraced the opportunity to not only improve their own health but also raise awareness for a greener future. And the 38th Berck International Kite Festival gets underway in northern France. Tens of thousands of visitors stroll along the Berck seafront to watch the kites dance in the sky. This popular event attracts kite enthusiasts and spectators from around the world, featuring a variety of kites in different shapes, size and designs. This year, North and South America are in the spotlight, with a team from Colombia coming to highlight their tradition.
On revient, tranquille. 1, 2, 3.
That's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.